China has some of the most stunning nature and historical places in the world. There are way too many to even name, but today we're going to check out the top 8 ranked sites. There are incredible spots in nature, stunning and really mind-blowing architecture, and some really cute animals too. Let's check it all out. 8. Zhangjiajie National Forest Park in Hunan. This is not one of the better known spots in China, but it is one of the most stunning places that you'll ever see. It isn't as easy to reach as some of the other spots that we'll discuss today, but it is certainly worth the effort. It was a big inspiration for James Cameron when he was making Avatar, and it really looks like the film came to life. It has stunning natural sights, and there are many tours that can help you safely explore the area. But for those that are feeling a little bit more daring and adventurous, there are also a number of man-made modern attractions that can get the blood pumping. The Balong Elevator, that is also known as the 100 Dragon Skylift, is one that you can do without pushing your limits too far. It offers stunning views of the area, and it takes groups of 50 people high in the air in only 2 minutes. And then for the really brave, there is the Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon Glass Bridge. This is not one for people that are scared of heights. It is the highest and tallest pedestrian bridge in the world. It is a great place to visit, a bit off the beaten path. 7. Shanghai's Promenade, the Bund. There are more than 24 million people in Shanghai, and it is by far the largest city in China. But when you are strolling along the Bund, you will probably forget completely that you are in a busy city. It is stunning to walk next to the Huangpu River, and the architecture of the area is really special. It shows the incredible mixed history of the city. The area is called the Museum of Buildings, and there is a mixed bag of architectural styles like Gothic, Baroque, and Neoclassical styles. Just walking around is one of the best ways to really experience the area and see some of the special restaurants or museums and art galleries. You should really try to see the Peace Hotel and Astor House Hotel. And then when you're tired of exploring by foot, you can take a river cruise and see the Bund from the Huangpu River. The night cruises are really incredible, and it is pretty amazing to see the night view of the city. 6. The Potala Palace in Tibet. This is a pretty iconic building in Chinese history, and it is very recognizable as part of the Chinese landscape. It was built as a royal palace and as a defensive fortress. For years, it was one of the residences of all the Dalai Lamas and is the center of politics and religion in Tibet. It is such an important building for China and the world that it has been named as a World Cultural Heritage Site now. It is built on a hillside, and just to see the building on the hillside is pretty mind-blowing. But if you aren't relatively fit, it might not be the easiest place to visit. It is at a high altitude, so any physical effort is already going to be more difficult than normal, and there are no lifts in the palace or to get inside. You need to climb 300 feet of steps to get there, so it is important to go slowly and enjoy the scenery. That way, you won't get sick from altitude sickness and mess up your trip. It is important to dress modestly, since you need to avoid the taboos of Tibetan Buddhism. Plus, nothing sharp or flammable is allowed in the palace, and no photos or any recording equipment is allowed inside. So plan ahead to avoid the disappointment of not being allowed inside. 5. Take a cruise on the Li River in Guian. This is a town on the Li River that has some of the most stunning parts of the countryside in China. The river goes through the town and also through the mountains, and some stunning and really romantic caves to travel through. There are a bunch of different options to cruise on the river depending on the time that you want to spend there. You can take cruises that take a few days in a tourist cruise ship, or you can take a trip in a small bamboo punt that takes a few hours. Either way can be a really special experience. 4. Having a giant panda experience. Honestly, I would probably put this in the number 1 spot, but that's only because anything that involves animals would be high on the list for me. And then when those animals are giant balls of fluff, it just shoots up to my number 1. But honestly, any animal lover has to include a panda experience in their trip to China. One of the best places to do that is the Chengdu Research Base of giant panda breeding in Sichuan. There are lots of tours and experiences that are great to take part in, even one where you can volunteer and help to feed and cuddle baby pandas. How cool is that? You do need a few things to be allowed to interact with the pandas for their health and safety. You need a green health code, your passport as a tourist, a mask that most of us now own anyway, and a nucleic acid test report. It is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that will stay with you forever. Which place in China would you really want to visit? Share your thoughts in the comments section, but don't go anywhere just yet. The top 3 spots to visit in China are still on the way up next. Can you predict what number 1 will be? Let's see if you're right. 3. The Terracotta Army in Xi'an. Another must-see in China. You will net about half a day to explore the incredibly detailed Terracotta Army. Especially if you're a history buff or a fan of archaeology, then you really need to see it. It is believed to be one of the greatest archaeological sites in the world, and it is really impressive. There are more than 8,000 life-size warriors that each have a unique look, around 520 horses, and more than 100 chariots, plus a bunch of other non-military characters that are all standing on guard at the first emperor's tomb. Plus, it is really accessible for anyone to visit, and that's a big bonus. They have English language tours available, and and they also have wheelchair-accessible lifts and corridors, making it easier to explore than many other historical sites. It is really mind-blowing standing in front of the vast array of soldiers that each has their own unique facial expressions and features. It can be an eerie feeling standing in front of those detailed pieces that at times can feel so lifelike that you half expect them to start moving like something out of a movie. But don't worry, they have never done that before, at least not yet. 2. The Forbidden City in Beijing. This is the biggest imperial palace in the world, and it is a must-see when you are visiting the capital city. It is the biggest and the most important building in China, and it shows some of the most beautiful early Chinese architecture. There is so much to see in the Forbidden City that it will really take you many hours to see everything, and it can feel a little bit overwhelming. That is why taking a tour inside the building might be the best way to see as many highlights of the Imperial Palace as possible. It not only shows you some incredible architecture, but also holds some really impressive and important art and artifacts from the Ming and Qing Dynasties. It can give you a good idea of how the emperors and their families and courtesans lived. Some of the most beautiful parts of the Forbidden City are the 5 marble Golden River bridges, the Imperial Throne, and the Palace Museum that can give you a nice taste of the artwork housed in the Imperial Palace. Number 1. The Great Wall of China. But our choice for the number 1 must-see thing to see and do in China has to be the Great Wall of China. It is one of the biggest tourist attractions in the world and still a really important ancient monument for the Chinese, and they have a lot of reasons to be proud of it. It is the longest wall in the world, and it follows a winding path to protect China. It moves over steep mountains and rugged terrains, going through some stunning scenery. It is incredibly long, said to be longer than 13,000 miles, and was built in segments over a long period of time. To see the entire wall would be a complete trip on its own, but there are lots of places where you can visit segments of the wall. Beijing has some of the best preserved areas, but wherever you decide to visit is a mind-blowing experience. Did we miss any important must-see places to visit in China? Let me know in the comments section, and thanks for watching.